Welcome back, everyone, to video number 2. Once again, I'm sorry this was not up sooner. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or get a hold of your teacher, and hopefully that'll help. Um, so the first video was all about slope. So now we are talking slope intercept form, and we're actually doing this for the next few videos, the next few days of class. This one wasn't too terribly hard. We are working with y equals mx plus b, and we know m is our slope. Talked about that yesterday. X and y, when we write this out, is always x and y equals 2x plus 10, or whatever. Um, but B was the one thing that most of y'all were like, oh crap, I don't remember. B is our y-intercept. It's where the line touches or crosses the y-axis. Once we figure out that number, and once we figure out our slope, we can write our equation. So here's our line. And on the slope video, it gave us 2 points. Well, on your worksheet, and you can kind of notice here, there are no points on that line. So you just got to find 2 points where it crosses, and we just picked those two because they looked good. There's all these other points where it crosses in a nice pretty place, but we just said let's just go with this. So find the slope first, because this is all we need, slope and intercept, and we're done. So my rise over run would be down 2 and over 2. So down 2 over 2. That fraction simplifies to -1. And then all you got to do is count from the origin up or down until you hit the line. Well, I can't go up any, so I got to go down 1, 2. When I go down 2, that's the y-axis intersection. That's my y-intercept. And so that's my value for B. So then once I have slope and intercept, I plug it into slope-intercept form. Let me scroll a little bit for this one. Same thing here. We picked these points here. Now we don't want to pick like that point or even that point or like that point right there. There's no sense of picking that one because it doesn't fall right on a nice pretty spot. And sometimes it's kind of tough to tell. So you just got to be real careful and do your best. But my rise is 2, my run is 3, so there's my slope. This doesn't reduce at all. And then from the origin, I go 1, 2 down. So -2 is my value for B. Take slope and intercept, plug them in. So yeah, like on these, some of them it's like, okay, you can clearly tell that that's not a point. This one you can. And then this one, it's like, I think so, but like obviously none of these other points look good. So that's probably okay. If you're off and you're like, well, you know what, I want to use this point here and this point here, it's not too terribly wrong. We'll just have to look a little closer. As long as you got like the operations right, I think that's the biggest part here. I did want to show you this one here, number 7. We have this horizontal line, and so we don't have a rise over run, and so my slope is 0, because 0 over, well, it didn't give me any points, so let me just pick that one and that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. My run is 5, so 0 divided by 5 is 0. And then from my origin, I go 1, 2, 3 down. That's my value for B. Well, I just take M and B, plug it in. I'm actually okay with either one of these answers because 0 times x is going to be 0, and then the 0 doesn't even matter. So if you want to write it either way, it's fine with me. This one's a little different, and I actually want to kind of start with number 10. I'm really sorry, first hour, that I started with number 1. It's kind of nasty, but it's not too bad. Let's start with 10 so we kind of get this idea down first. So they're going to give us a point and the slope, and then basically say, well, what's the line look like, the entire line? Well, if they give you the slope, and we know x and y because they gave us an x and y, well, b is the only thing we're looking for. So all we do is take our x, y, and m and plug them in, and then just do some equation solving. So 1 equals my slope, 2/3, times my x value, -3, plus b. Fractions aren't too bad. You just do the top times the big number. 2 times -3 is -6, and then you divide by the bottom number. -6 divided by 3 is -2. Well, once you're here, it's a one-step equation. Move this over, get your value for B. Now, why is this in 2 different colors? Well, that's because once they gave you the slope, I knew, I knew all of that part of my answer. I didn't have to do any work for it. I know it was going to be y equals 2/3 x because it told me the slope was going to be 2/3. So it makes it a little bit easier. It's one less thing you have to kind of worry about at the end. Oh man, where's my slope? Well, we already have it. If you get fractions, like when you set it up here, 5 times 5 is 25, 25 divided by 8 is just 25 over 8. We're still going to just add or subtract this over like we did with the -2 and 2, or with the -2, we just added it over. It's just a number. So now we have 1 minus that nasty fraction. But if we can get common denominators, then it'll be a lot easier. So you just take your big number and multiply by this bottom number. So 1 times 8 is your new top number here, 8. And then this 8 goes 8 on bottom, because 8 divided by 8 is 1, right? So now that we have common denominators, that denominator is just going to be there, and we can do 8 minus 25, or same signs add and keep, different signs subtract. So 25 minus 8, keep the sign of the larger number, so we'll be -17, and we just plug that in after we already halfway wrote our answer. So there's another example at number 11. That one was fairly easy. 13 ended up being fairly easy, even though it does have a fraction here, because -2 divided by 2 is just -1. But here's another one I was talking about. -1 times 2 is 2 divided by 5. We subtract it over. And then to do this, you do big number times the bottom. So 4 times 5 gets you 20, and that 5 is going to go on bottom. Well, now you're just 20 minus 2 is 18, and that 5 sticks on bottom. And it just joins the rest of the answer that we already had. So this isn't too terribly bad. Spoiler alert, if you're watching this video over the weekend, Monday we're coming in, and instead of them giving us the slope, they're going to say, here's 2 points, find the slope. So we'll have to find the slope, then come back and go, oh, okay, now I can, if I have a point and the slope, I should be able to figure out the rest of the problem. I'm gonna look a little bit to see if I can't find some other videos kind of specifically on this. It may have some of the foreshadowing what we're doing Monday also, but let me take a peek, and I'll see what I can't find. But again, if you need help or if you're stuck, email me or get a hold of your teacher.